Hey guys, as promised, we're going to be discussing the parallels of Rachel Marron, who the character Whitney Houston plays in the movie The Bodyguard. So the character that she plays, which is Rachel Marron, versus the real life Whitney Houston. Okay, first scene in The Bodyguard, you have Rachel Marron on a little TV screen, and you have a doll there. Boom! You have an explosion. Right there in the dressing room, you have an explosion, and that signifies that somebody is out to kill her. And they are very intentional about how they're going to do it. Because this is really, really close to home. If she's on the TV, which means she's on this stage at whatever venue she's at, and this doll's in the dressing room, that's real close. Now, after this, you see them getting ready to beef up security, bring in a quote-unquote expert. Okay, when they pursue the good guy, Kevin Costner, he basically shows you all the holes in security in this world of Rachel Marron. These people are not skilled, they're not qualified, the property's wide open, all types of stuff. Well, if you look at the real life of Whitney Houston, it's like the latter days when she goes and hires Pat Houston's family members. You start seeing a bunch of holes. You start seeing security breaches in terms of, like, for instance, I was watching this one video and she was in the airport. She had literally turned like a whole corner, and the security guy, Ray, which is Pat's brother, who is not qualified to do any type of security, he's like around the corner, the first corner they were on. So she's already turned this corner. He's nowhere near her. All this type of stuff. It's just showing all these little holes. And when we look at the parallels between who Kevin Costner really is and who was that in her life, we have to look at Robin Crawford. Robin Crawford, I don't care what you think about her, she always had Whitney Houston's best interest at heart. She always was like ride or die for her. She protected her from a lot of things. She didn't let certain things in. It was... Robin Crawford was the one they had to really get out of the way. / David Roberts. David Roberts was a security guard. Was her security, her bodyguard, during her heyday. And once David, revealed that she needed help, they got rid of him, which we'll see down the line how this is so akin to what happened in the movie. Now, notice Portman, who at the end you'll see him as the killer. Notice Portman is interested in the job. Well, in real life, those that did not mean her well, those that were vultures, they were interested in being in the Whitney Houston camp and working for her. She had some of her greatest enemies on her payroll. Now, notice when Frank Farmer's in the house and Bill Cobbs basically introduced Rachel to Frank Farmer. And they talk about the bodyguard, and Rachel makes a statement about Tony being her bodyguard. Tony is not as skilled as Frank Farmer. Frank Farmer knows all the ins and outs of not only just being a bodyguard, but making sure the premises is secure. making sure ain't no bomb under the car and all this type of stuff. Frank is way more skilled because Frank has guarded the president. He's a real bodyguard, i.e. David Roberts, a real bodyguard, as opposed to Tony, who could probably like fight or whatever. As opposed to Tony, and in real life, as opposed to Pat's brother, Ray, who is not a skilled bodyguard. He doesn't know anything about bodyguarding and securing any type of premises. Rachel is not a sober-minded person. So that's why you see her suggest the lesser of the two bodyguards. She's not a sober-minded person. Not that Rachel on some kind of drugs or this or that. Rachel ain't thinking that the enemy in the camp, like Rachel ain't paying attention to none of this. I.e. Whitney Houston not paying attention to the severity of not having the devil in your camp. The urgency of making sure your camp is secure. Not only your camp, the grounds where you live has to be secure. But because she suggests this guy and not the guy with the skill, you see where she's not sober-minded. She ain't thinking. And fast forward to the bedroom scene where they're showing this elaborate bedroom. Find out some person been sending letters, which is like death threats and I hate you and I have nothing, da da da. On top of, they broke into the house and they was literally on the bed. They relieved themselves on her bed. So that shows you the property is not secure prior to Frank coming. So if you don't have a secure property with the people you have in place, they're showing you that they're not for you. They're here to have a good time and to make money. When you look at the real Whitney Houston camp, you saw them Negroes was not there to work at the Beverly Hilton on February 11th. Okay? They were not there to work for her. One, they was there to have a good time. Two, they was really there to carry out an assignment. Yeah, pre-planned. All right, next. Now notice you had an exploding doll. Somebody breaks in the house. Somebody sending crazy letters. All of this is going on and nobody's contacting the police. Nobody's contacting the authorities. Nobody is looking at film footage of the venue to see who bought the doll in that blew up. You know? Nobody's doing any of this. Hence February 11th. Nobody said, Beverly Hilton, we want to see your closed circuit TV. We want to see the footage, your security footage, to see who went in this room last. Like, ain't nobody do none of that. And you see that in this movie. Nobody's investigating anything. Now we shift over to the scene where Frank goes over to, looks like a guest house or something, where the sister is. And the sister's in there and she's showing Frank, she called it her ego wall. Now with that sister being introduced, she's coming off to me, of course, as Pat Houston, who is as demonic as they come. But also, it shows the door that Pat used to get in. That door is Gary Houston. The jealous spirit that Gary Houston houses. And, of course, the jealousy that you see with Pat Houston, because we've all heard the conversation when her daughter put the audio out. These two jealous, envious cats are embodied in that sister. The sister is moving the same way. And you notice throughout the movie that her comments about her sister to Frank are laced with jealousy and envy. So much so, this joker hired a killer. But we ain't that far. We still moving. Now we're gonna fast forward over to brunch, where they go to brunch. They're coming out of the restaurant, and this little girl runs up. You know, she wants a picture with Rachel Marron. Now, they flash to the camera real quick. The little camera that the mom and the daughter gonna use to take this picture. They actually zoom in on this camera. Now, if you remember, what did they use as an exploding device before? They used a doll in the beginning. So Frank, it's like his mind has shifted to anything can be designed to kill you, crazy. If you paying attention, Rachel Marron. So that's when he tried to kind of, you see him try to stop it or whatever, at the beginning of it. But then when you see this camera come out, they zooming on the camera. So I'm like, the zoom could be alluding to, okay, this could be a device to hurt her, kill her, whatever. But they take the picture, they get in the car, they get in the limo. And as the dude drives the limo off, you see this black 4Runner behind them. They're being followed. Now, I don't know if the mother and daughter were plants to slow down their progress of moving so the black 4Runner can position itself to follow her to her house or whatever the case is. I'm not sure of that. But what I do know is you see how Rachel's rejecting this security. Rachel is rejecting security and flip to the real world. Whitney Houston is rejecting David Roberts when he suggests getting her some help when she OD'd on the Waiting to Exhale set. Or I don't know if they was on the set, but it was on the grounds of, the rented houses that they had or whatever. And when you see that total disregard for the person that specializes in this area, you see her being put in harm's way. And then you also see the look that the sister gave when the little girl came up there with, to take the picture. That tell you right there. There's another little showcase of jealousy and envy right there with the sister. She's showing you all along that jealousy, the root of it is hatred, which will manifest eventually into murder. All right, let's move to the next spot. Now, let's fast forward to, boom, we getting ready to go to the Mine, which is that club or whatever that they're about to do Queen of the Night. Okay, you see this manager continuing to put her in harm's way. Continuing to do it. Why in the world, and this is in real life, why in the world would Pat Houston have Whitney Houston at a club? At a club. It's Grammy week. Why you got her at a club? And in this club, she done got into altercation. They got her on the mic singing. You tell she done had one too many drinks. You got all this going on. Why would your manager have you out here at the nightclub like you one of the homies. No, you're an icon. You have no business out in these streets like that. But it's the same crap that was going on in the movie. A manager that just kept putting her in harm's way. And what do we see as a result? Boom. They rush the stage on her. It gets crazy in there. And what do you know? The lunatic, now he ain't no killer in there, but he real crazy and like to take all her pictures and stalk her. He's in the venue. Huh? This the same junk that was going on in real life. These people who are not really skilled in these areas and could care less about her safety, putting her in harm's way. Now, Cy, the manager, says something very significant to Frank. He says, if she doesn't get out there and sing, she dead anyway. If she don't sing, she dead anyway. And that's how they felt about her in real life. If she don't get out here and sing, she dead. Because she can't make us no money. She's actually worth, because she can't sing in real life, she's actually worth more to us dead than alive. That's just how her camp in real life was moving. And here go another scene where the jealous sister is looking on with jealousy again. You can see it in her eyes. You can see that this actress is portraying just pure venom against her sister. Deadly. Now you flip to the bar and movie scene where they went to this movie. It's like, I guess, a Asian karate movie, whatever. And then they go over to the bar. You hear a lot of death talk. Now, mind you, 20 years later, this is when they kill her in real life. 20 years later. The movie comes out in 1992. She's up out of here in 2012. So you see the parallels with all the death talk. It's almost like a premonition and a sign that this how we gonna move in real life. We just putting it on the screen to show y'all. Now you see where Rachel is starting to fall for the bodyguard. And the lines are getting blurred. Business is getting mixed with pleasure. And you see in real life, people don't want to talk about it or they skim over it. With the Robin Crawford, Whitney Houston, the lines were blurred. I don't care how early Robin say it got cut off. Them lines was blurred. Okay? But you see where he's starting to fall for her too, but then he got to catch himself. You know what I'm saying? Be like, wait a minute. This is business. Now, I don't think that portion ever happened in real life. But you do see the lines being blurred in real life as it was in the movie. Because not only were the lines being blurred as far as being intimate, on the flip side, Frank Farmer was going to protect her with his life. And that's the same thing with Robin. Even though they threatened bodily harm to Robin, Robin stayed right there. Robin did not move. Robin didn't shift. She stayed right there. Now, you see, when we fast forward to the Miami scene when they're at the Fontainebleau Hotel, you see Portman. Portman enters the scene, and Portman is the future killer, or the guy that's going to try to kill. And with Portman entering the room, and then there's this tension between Frank and Rachel. Rachel walks off with Portman. Portman, in real life, he represents the vultures that were in the camp. In real life, Whitney Houston sacrifices Robin. Tell Robin, you can go, whatever. When Robin left, put the letter or whatever, she just let Robin go to go over here with these people. And these people were the future killers. You say whatever you want to say, they're future killers. They can come on here and make some snide comments. You were future killers. All these cats that was in her camp, at the end, y'all winded up being killers. Which is strange because Sissy Houston threw a fit when Robin and the early crew left Whitney in the hotel room by herself. But according to them, Whitney Houston died in the hotel room by herself. And ain't nobody make not one piece of fuss. That's strange. Yeah, man. So in the scene, she walks away with what's detrimental to her life. And in real life, she walked away with what was detrimental in her life. Now, as she's away with Portman, she and Portman one-on-one in the room, Portman tries to force himself on her. Then she opens the door and basically let Portman out. She looks up. Tony's on the door. I believe that's the name. Tony was on the door. But the man that she tried to make jealous was not on the door. And her intending to make Frank jealous, it backfired on her and was bad for her. So once Portman leaves the room and she closed the door, what does she do? She takes a liquor bottle and turns it up and starts indulging in something that is bad for her. Some type of poison that's bad for her when she realizes that she's made a mistake. I honestly believe she went into a deeper, darker place in life when she realized that she made a mistake. And this is real life. I'm not talking Rachel Marron anymore. The real Whitney Houston. In real life, I believe she knew that she made a mistake when she let Robin leave. Because she realized these cats that forced their way in through lying and through trying to kick certain people out like Sylvia, trying to alienate Whitney from Sylvia and from Rob and all of them. When they forced that through probably lying, deceit, conversation, gossip, whatever, when they forced that and those people were out and the vultures were in, I believe as she went down the road, she saw that those people were no good for her. And that's why you saw her go into a deeper, darker hole. Now, let's fast forward to, we ain't going to fast forward. All the time that this is going on, behind the scenes, the FBI is investigating these letters and all this stuff that Frank sent them. They're investigating all this, and they're thinking that they got this person nailed down. But in reality, the real deadly person was in close quarters with her, which was Portman when he was in that room with her. Now, in real life, that's Rachel Marron. But in real life, Whitney Houston, they were looking at Robin as the bad seed. But in real life, in reality, I'll say that. In reality, the bad guys was Gary's wife, not the first wife, not Monique, the second wife, Pat, Patricia, she was the bad person. The brother Ray was a bad person. This is Pat brother. You got Cupcakes Mary, who's related to Pat also. All these people got jobs in Whitney Houston camp, and wasn't none of them on their job on the day she died. Donna Houston, all these people are bad, but nobody's looking at them. Everybody got their eyes focused on Robin. And we fast forward to the private place they went to up with Frank's dad, up in the mountains. They're up there. And these jokers bring the sister. Now, the sister, the last person you want with you. Why? Because the sister is the mastermind of the plot to end Rachel Marron's life. Well, I don't even have to say it, but I'm going to say it. Pat Houston is the mastermind that ended Whitney Houston's life. Think about it. What did she tell you on Oprah? She just started walking slowly. When she came down the hallway and saw everybody frantic, she started walking slowly. Are you serious? You started walking slowly? Oh, that means you know the job done. So ain't no sense of hurrying. You know the job done. Hence, none of y'all answering the phone that day. But, yeah, they bring the sister along, which is crazy. The sister, she making all these snide comments, and she eventually tried to push up on Frank. Now, her pushing up on Frank shows that whatever my sister have, I want. Which is the epitome of envy and jealousy. Whatever you have that's so covetous, whatever you have, I want it. Not like she was in love with Frank or whatever, but because Rachel had Frank. The sister want Frank. Okay, let's shift over to Pat Houston. Whitney Houston has notoriety, fame, money, all that. All of that. And what did she say on that tape with Rhea? Yeah, y'all should have saw me when I came out there. I was like Michelle Obama. She wants notoriety and fame. She wants what Whitney Houston has. She will never get it because she ain't got no talent. She has no skill. She has zero skill. She doesn't even know how to manage Whitney Houston. That's the one job she had. She has no talent, no skill, so she will never achieve that. But she has spent a great bulk of her years chasing what Whitney Houston had. And still has to this day. Now, the next scene, you see Fletcher. Fletcher is with, not Whitney, but Rachel Marron's son in the movie. You see Fletcher get in a boat. Where's the boat? The boat is on water. Where did Whitney Houston, where did they find her body? In water. Where was Bobby Christina? What was that, the night before? Almost drowned in water. There's so much water surrounding this Whitney Houston thing. Okay? You see Fletcher in the water. Frank goes out to save Fletcher. When Frank get out there, save him. Whitney Houston or Rachel Marron talking crazy, you could have killed him, da-da-da. When they look up, the boat explodes. The boat explodes. Now, let's go over into real life. Now, you see on quite a few different occasions where Robin has tried to save Whitney Houston in terms of going and telling her mom she's doing cocaine, going in and trying to get her in rehab, all this type of stuff to save her. Whitney Houston is rejecting this life raft. She's rejecting this person that can save her and help her. And when she looks up, the boat explodes in the movie. That's so symbolic to her life in her career. When you look up after all of that rejecting the help, you see that your career is reduced to, just rubbish. Why? Because you rejected the help. But you let the parasites come in. You let the devil in here. Then, what do we discover after the boat blows up? After the boat explodes, we find out, the phone lines have been cut. What do you know? Whitney Houston, not Rachel Marron, Whitney Houston, the day you getting ready to die and you calling everybody, what is cut? The phone. Not saying the phone lines per se, but the communication was cut. They would not answer the phone for her. None of her friends would answer the phone for her, which is really strange. You are Whitney Houston and ain't nobody answering the phone for you? Did somebody tell them to not answer the phone for you? Another parallel, another thing you can look at and point to and say, did they plan this? Because I'll say it again, this is 20 years before they take her up out of here. So instead of them grabbing everything and leaving out, it was like, look, we going to put everything together. They call it, we're going to button down the night and we're going to leave, first thing in the morning. Well, before they could leave first thing in the morning, here comes this killer. Boom. The sister, before she gets killed, the sister starts to tell Frank everything that we know in real life is Pat Houston. We know in real life that Pat Houston hates Whitney Houston. In this movie, that sister said up front, I hate her. In that scene, she said, I hate her. This is so close to real life. Almost as close as you can get. But the killer enters the room or enters the house. All the shooting or whatever going on. And he shoots the sister. Now, of course, they flip-flop it around when they kill the sister. But then in real life, they kill Whitney Houston. Well, after they get rid of the sister, well, right before they get rid of the sister, as she's like pouring her soul out to Frank about how she hates her sister, she asked Frank, she said, you don't want to know why I did it? Which she hired a hitman. He said, basically, you already told me. You said she has everything and you have nothing. Pat Houston, Gary Houston. Gary has this promising basketball career. Gary, I believe he failed a drug test. Boom, now you got to come back home, bump the NBA. Now you back home singing background for your little sister. Singing background, you go from a basketball player to a background singer. Background singer for your little sister. That will bring about a hatred like none other. Especially for a man. And then when you marry a hater, it just intensifies. It intensifies. This stuff is so close. All right? Let's get to the next scene. Fast forward after the sister funeral and we going to the Oscars. Now, mind you, this is the Oscars. A award show. And Rachel's in limo saying, y'all ain't gonna worry about it, 'cause when your time up, your time up. You like, dang. Is that how she viewed it when they was getting ready to take her life? When your time up, your time is up. And obviously she fought for her life because there were struggle marks in real life. There were struggle marks on her arm. So, but that was like eerie to hear her say, when your time is up, your time is up. Okay, and now when you get like on the stage, behind the scenes and stuff, you see Portman is posing as a cameraman. So this is not Portman's real job. He's posing as one, and he's really using the camera as a weapon. He's saying, I think he was supposed to be guarding Al Franken. I think that's who that was. Come to find out, that's a lie. Al Franken doesn't even know him. Now let's shift over to Whitney Houston. Everybody she had in place when she died, they were not that in real life. You talking about an executive assistant who was not there assisting her. You talking about a manager who was not there on an important day. Like, everybody pretended to be these things as though they were actors. And you never saw them do or be skilled in these areas. Just like Portman wasn't a real cameraman, Pat Houston ain't no real manager. Cupcakes Mary ain't no real assistant. Nobody's real. Ray is not no real bodyguard. This is all fake. This is all players of the game, and they're all put in places strategically to carry out this task. As she's getting ready to accept her award, Portman shoots. Boom, he lets the bullet fly. Notice what she's in. She's in the process of winning. When you look at the real life of Whitney Houston, she's in the process of coming back. You see Sparkle. You see her looking real healthy. It seems as though we've walked through the dark years with her, and she's coming back. But as Whitney Houston is coming back to win, they had to end it all for her. Now, Whitney Houston was not going to come back as a vocalist. Movie producer, little acting spots here and there, great. She was going to be great in that area. But as she's getting ready to win, again, they let the shot go. No, she wasn't shot, but they proceeded to kill her as she's getting ready to win in real life. And as you go on in the movie, you see Frank leaving the job. You see in real life, Robin leaves this job. The protector is gone. And then you see in real life, when the protector goes, there's no more security. There's no more walls to keep the enemy out. The enemy was always kind of there, but they were like kept at bay. They couldn't really do exactly what they wanted to do. But when that savior type person, which was Robin, when that person left, that gatekeeper left, it just left the doors open for the enemy to do whatever he wanted to do, which ultimately cost the life of Whitney Houston. Now, down in the comments, y'all hit me up and let me know, what are the things you saw that I missed. I hope you enjoyed it. But this is the parallels of the life of Rachel Marron versus Whitney Houston.